Helping families find the best care possible. U.S. News rates nationwide nursing homes by their quality of care.
WIFR News reporter Sydney Stoffregan talks with the leader of the study who says better care comes with more and better trained staff.
According to U.S. News, at any given morning this year, nearly 1.2 million people, including 8% of individuals age 85 and above, will reside in a U.S. nursing home. This report determines which facilities provide the best care and which you might want to avoid.
Don't be afraid of nursing homes.
That's Aaron Topper, the CEO of AA Healthcare Management, which owns Park Place of Belvedere. It received a 4 out of 5 ranking by U.S. News. This report looked at the quality of care at nearly 15,000 nursing homes. Topper says while they always strive for excellence post-pandemic, they've struggled to find enough quality staff.
Attracting new staff that have a good work ethic at the same time as they also have a skill set which they can do what they need to in order to service the staff becomes extremely challenging.
U.S. News says to be considered one of the best, a nursing home must have been high-performing in short-term rehabilitation, long-term care, or both. Zach Adams with the publication says an issue popping up in Illinois homes is an overuse of antipsychotics.
Overuse of this type of medication is used to mollify patients and residents rather than providing them psychiatric care or additional attention.
Alpine Fireside receives a 5-star rating from U.S. News. Admissions and Marketing Director Peg Washington says the healthcare industry may change, but their pillars of care will always remain the same.
When you work in the healthcare industry, will you ever stop learning and growing? So many of our staff have double-digit years of loyalty to the company, and part of that I think is because they can anticipate that there'll be growth, whether it's personal or professional.
U.S. News says making a primary focus on patient and resident care will ensure a higher ranking for 2026.
Thank you, Sydney. And all the data included in the U.S. News report came from publicly available sources, including the data archive of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services.